Hey guys, welcome to Approach the Nerd. This is Maria Park, and we are getting ready to do our catch up Hawkeye episode 4 review, and of course, our episode 5 that came on yesterday review. And I will say, I know in my earlier reviews, the first three, I really liked the show, but I kept saying that I really hope we got some build up and it would probably happen in episode 4. And that's exactly what happened because we only have 6 episodes. Most of the meat of this, story or the seasons, should I say, are happening in episodes 4, 5, and 6. So basically the ladder of the episodes. So we have a lot to talk about, but first I have to say some things that I think were interesting. When we see episode 4, you remember the end of episode 3, they have Jack come out with a sword and like basically puts a sword on Clint. And then, you're like, okay, what's going to happen? And then of course, Kate diffuses the situation by saying, this is my friend that I'm working with, partner. The whole banter between Kate and Clint is very amazing because it's so reminiscent of them in the comics. But what's interesting to me, and I've said this a million times with the MCU, is how they reinvent connections of people in the stories. For instance, Jack is the swordsman from Marvel, and the swordsman was one of the people that trained Clint in the comics on how to be an archer and a swordsman. Clint literally joined a circus when he was little because he came from a very messed up childhood. And one of the people that took him in was him and Trickshot. And they taught him how to use a bow and arrow and how to be a swordsman for the circus. And then actually practically for life. So having Jack and Clint at the same table in the same room and not having that backstory and connection, because quite frankly, Hawkeye would not be Hawkeye if not for Jack, is really interesting that, the MCU is like, not a necessary connection. It's just so, I just have to point this out because I always find it amusing to me whenever that happens. It's just like the character Grills. Grills is actually a very minor character that you see back in like, I think it was in West Coast Avengers, but I remember that Clint had a bunch of neighbors and Grills was one of his neighbors. And I'm really hoping that, because I really like the character Grills in the MCU. I know some people were like, well, but he was white in the comics. I don't care. And quite frankly, they never established if Grills was white. He could have been Hispanic. I mean, he could have been anything. I don't know what he is, but a lot of people think that, of course, they, race bent him. And so what? But I hope that he does not share the same fate that his comic counterpart does. Because in the comics, he ends up getting killed. I can't remember if it's Kingpin. It's something mafia related, and they did it to tick off Clint just to show them that they could get to him. Because this was a neighbor that he hung out with, and I believe they called him Grills because he would barbecue a lot, and that's what it was. So I literally hope that the Grills of the MCU's Hawkeye does not share the same fate as the Grills from the actual Prime 616 Earth. So just throwing that out there because I really am digging this character. All right, so the whole scene with Kate's mother and Jack and Clint and Kate was funny, especially when Kate's like, this is my partner, and Clint's like, no, we're not partners. I mean, she was like, nah, no. Hilarious, absolutely effing hilarious. We all know that Jack is up to no good. We now know he's basically using a shell company to do illegal deeds. And this is something that Kate knew about. It's something that Clint confirmed, with her. And so now she's even more paranoid to get her mother away from this man. Now, we'll jump to episode 5 because we already talked about this. And I'm sure if you followed Hawkeye and you follow, especially if you're a Kate Bishop fan, you already know who her mother is in the comics, and that should be Madame Mask. But I like how they're playing it out with Eleanor. Like they're making it seem like, she's just this woman trapped in a relationship with this criminal, and she's just, blindsided by love. And yes, she's a businesswoman, but she doesn't understand the darker side like Kate does. And, and her mentor and idol and the hero worship, object, Clint does. So I do like how they're just making her, they're making her kind of like the side story, but at the same time, she's got a big role in this. So, and we learn more about that in episode 5. But for me, again, this is another MCU invention because in the comics, and I said this before, her mother was the one presumed dead, not the father. So her father was just an a-hole. Her father was a really big a-hole, and eventually cuts her off financially. Kind of like what the mother did with the credit cards in the first or second episode of Hawkeye. The father just was like, you know what? You want to play by my rules? You're cut off. And then she had to make a living for herself, and that's led her to be a PI in the comics. I don't know if Kate's going to go the route of the PI or not in this, but I mean, it would be cool. But I mean, as somebody who is a West Coast Avengers, Kate fan, I'm loving, how this is playing out. Now, everything happening with Echo and everything happening with Clint dealing with Echo, I knew was going to come to a head. And there was always speculation on what was going to occur. And we actually see that more in episode 5 about who was pulling the strings. And again, I mean, since we're talking about both episodes, it's Kingpin. It's who Clint has been worried about this entire time. And I would love to know Hawkeye's connection to Kingpin, considering, when you saw a picture of Kingpin, it is the actor from the Netflix series. So now I'm like curious, because I'm going back to what Kevin Feige said, where he said that the Netflix series did not have continuity in the MCU, but yet that's impossible, especially if you look at the first season of Daredevil, when they literally show what happened with the first Avengers movie and newspaper articles all over the walls. But I really want to know what the connection is. Did Ronan have a run-in with Kingpin? We know at some point, the reason that Echo's father is even dead is because basically Hawkeye got a tip from someone about where they would be. So, and it came from his boss. I just want to know how Ronan knew how is Ronan connected to Kingpin? Because this is something that I find very intriguing. But anyway, so yeah. So episode 4 basically dealt with the partnership. It dealt with Kate basically thinking she was in training and on the same level and equal footing, not really in skill, but at least she thought he viewed her as a partner, considering they've been through all of this stuff so far together. And Clint basically having a conversation with her mother, where her mother's like, I can't lose my daughter, I can't do it, blah, blah, blah. And I already knew that it was going to go that route, that he was going to basically tell her to go home and stay out of this, let me handle it, because that's what Clint does anyway. But I just thought it was interesting that this whole, the entire episode was called Partners, but it really wasn't about partners. And at the same time it was, if that makes sense, because we had Clint basically reminiscing and telling Kate a story about how he met Natasha, about basically she was this one shot he couldn't take. He was sent to kill her and he couldn't, and they became BFFs. The irony of that is, at the end of the episode, when they're breaking in to try and get this Rolex, which we still have no idea why we need this Rolex. There's something going on with this watch, and I really want to know what it is. It belongs to somebody and Clint wants it back, basically. And at the end of it, when they're on the roof, everyone's fighting. We got Echo there. Of course, she's trying to kill Clint. Clint's trying to defend himself. Well, she's fighting him because she wants to know where Ronan is. She didn't realize Clint was Ronan at this time. And then, of course, we have Kate trying to back up Clint. And then Yelena shows up. And then the whole thing with Kate not being able to shoot Yelena is literally a mirror of Clint not being able to shoot Natasha. Now, I will tell you guys, as somebody, again, I am a Kate Bishop fan. I love her relationship with her BFF in the comics, America Chavez. I feel like what the MCU is doing now, they de-aged America Chavez in the MCU. And I feel like Yelena is going to have the relationship that would have been between her and America. And I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I like the banter, especially when Kate goes to check on her apartment and finds Yelena literally in her apartment eating macaroni. And the whole way they talk to each other, it is basically they are the new Clint and Natasha. There is no way of interpreting that any other way. This is going to be the next gen Clint and Natasha, Kate and Yelena. But what's interesting to me is that was always America's role. So I don't know. I'm a little in my feelings about it, that the MCU is going that route. At the same time, I really like the actress who plays Yelena. I love her voice. I like her personality. So I'm not hating it. I think it's the banter, especially when she kept calling Kate Kate Bishop the entire time. And she's like, you're just saying my full name just to prove you know it. And she's like, yeah. I'm like, that is such something that I would hear America and Kate do to each other. So I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of perturbed because I always loved the relationship between Kate and America in the comics. And I just feel like they reassigned it to Yelena. And I don't know how to feel about that. I don't know if I should be upset about it. I don't know. That's just me reaching out. But again, Yelena as a whole, I really loved her character. I love that we got to see her, go to the bathroom. So her and another widow, I don't know her name, guys, I didn't watch the Black Widow movie, but I love that, they were going to save Anna and thinking that she was like, under control. They're trying to break her so she can live her best life and not be, controlled as a widow anymore. And she's like, I'm not controlled. I'm literally just taking jobs and this is my house and I'm making money. It was just hilarious. But I love how when Yelena goes to the bathroom, she literally is affected by the snap. And then she's back 5 minutes later. It's like we got to see it in real time. Like, I know we've seen it before, but I love how we literally had her standing there looking at the mirror, washing her hands, and she snaps, and then she snaps back. And she goes out of the bathroom, and it's literally 5 years later. And I'm like, that is amazing to me. Because we've always seen it, but it seems to me that we've always focused more on the people that see the people being snapped back. We aren't seeing it, from the people's perspective, outside of Monica Rambeau that we did see a little bit of in WandaVision. But I mean, this to me was more real because, Yelena's like, what the hell? Who the hell are you? She's like, oh yeah, I'm married. I got a kid now. And Anna's like, you can stay here as long as you want. So I love that time just moved forward and Yelena's still stuck in that one spot. So that's kind of cool to me. I love that. First of all, we know that Madam Hydra, from what I've seen in clips, because I have not seen the Black Widow movie. I just saw it from clips, was the one that put a little buzz in her ear that, Natasha was killed by Clint. And so I don't know what is going to happen. I do know what's going to happen. She's not going to kill Clint because, come on, it's Hawkeye. But I guess for me, the whole banter between her and Kate saying, I've known him for a week, and he's not that kind of guy. I really wish she had told Yelena the truth. He saved me when I was younger after my dad was killed, and I've been obsessed with him my whole damn life. Like, literally, I have been Hawkeye's biggest fan my entire damn life. I just really would love for her to just come clean about that, because that's literally what that is. But yeah, so I'm really curious to see how this is going to play out. I kind of wish, because we're watching finally a Hawkeye series, since we never got a movie, we never got his backstory. I wish we had gotten to see at least one freaking scene of how him and Natasha met, because they've been telling us this stuff for years, that they were best friends, and that he couldn't kill her. And I would love to have seen how that played out. I also would love to know how he met his wife, because his wife is probably one of the most supportive people I have seen in a marriage in all of the MCU. And the reason I'm saying that is, it doesn't matter what he calls. He's like, yeah, I might have to do something bad. She's like, well, you're not calling me to ask for my permission. I trust your judgment. I love you. And I'm like, wow, she knows that her husband is about to probably go out there and kill people and potentially be killed. And she's like, well, I'll have dinner waiting for you at home, honey. Have a good day. That's literally, she just accepts it. Like, nothing's wrong. She literally like, we moved the kids so far away. And he's like, well, if stuff doesn't go, the way it's supposed to go, basically giving her the sign that you need to get the kids and move on. Like, she lives a life, even though they have 3 children, of the wife of an assassin/spy. And so she knows that she needs to protect the kids, and she knows to just pack up everything and get out. And she knows how to contact people. So I want to know how they met. Is she an ex-member of S.H.I.E.L.D.? I mean, who is she? Who is Laura? I want to know more about his wife. I know that we're introducing Kate Bishop and we're moving towards the Young Avengers eventually. I get that, but I would love to know how Clint met his wife. I would love to know more about Clint, if that makes sense. Instead of, outside of the vague stuff we've gotten all these years. I mean, if we're going to do a true Hawkeye movie, do a Hawkeye movie or a TV series that shows his past. It drives me crazy, because that's why they're able to say that he has no connection to Jack, because we don't have any backstory. Even though, again, Jack is extremely instrumental to Clint being, even becoming Hawkeye. And his connection to Winter Soldier in the comics is not existing in the MCU. So like I said, a lot of this is just stuff that the MCU reinvents, and like they're doing their own thing. I know it's considered their own Earth, but it's just so interesting when you have these characters that are so connected to each other. They have no connection in the MCU. It's like literally this could be my brother, but we're like next door neighbors in the MCU. And it's so weird to me. I don't know. I guess I'm just throwing it out there. So yeah, one of the mysteries is the Rolex. We don't know what's going on with the Rolex. Tracksuit Mafia, they're just stupid. Like, I do love that Clint finally revealed his face to Echo, and is basically like, I was sent here by your boss. Now, again, if you know anything about, Maya in the comics, and I think I even went over this last week, Kingpin killed her dad. And while her father was dying, he begged Kingpin to take his daughter in and raise her. And so he raised her to be badass, an assassin. And so that's literally her connection to Kingpin. Now, whether that's the connection in this one, I don't know, because again, I don't know if this is the Kingpin from the continuity of the Netflix series, as in that Earth, or if this is another Earth's version of the same man and the same actor, which means the Daredevil that we're probably going to see, in Spider-Man this week or this weekend is probably going to be this Earth's version and not the Netflix version, which is going to confuse a lot of people. Like, I know a lot of people be like, what? But I'm really curious to see what Maya's relationship is like with Wilson. Because I'm wondering if Vanessa's even still alive, if he has a connection with Vanessa. Does he have his son? There's so many questions now that I have, and I know we only have one episode left in this season, which means we're more than likely getting a season 2. But I would love to know, like, how, is she the one that was raised by, did they keep that in the MCU, that she was raised by Kingpin? So yeah, there's a lot that I think she's starting to suspect that maybe Clint's not lying. And yeah, I think there's going to be a big fallout across the board. Now, my dream fight, though, is between Maya and Yelena, not Kate and Yelena. I really want to see how Widow goes up against Echo. I think that'd be really cool. A very, very cool fight. Now, what that will lead to, I don't know, because I don't know. I don't know if they're going to do an Arrowverse thing where they start making people that are established villains in the comics actual heroes, in MCU. It could happen, I guess. If that's the case, I guess Maya would be a young Avenger as well, a future young Avenger, should I say? I don't know, or maybe something's going to happen that's going to push her to completely be bad by the end of this season. I don't know, but what I do know is that fight, I really want to see that fight happen. I really want to see Yelena and Maya just go at it. I think it'll be interesting. But at the same time, I don't know what they're doing in terms of the whole Kingpin, Maya, because it's like two separate stories are happening. It is literally Kate Bishop's origin story, and then Clint. It's not even a Hawkeye story. It's more like a Ronin story, like Clint cleaning up his Ronin past. Which again, and I will say he was beating Maya's butt too. Like, he was not, I still feel like he was holding back a little bit because he wasn't trying to kill her. But that fight scene where, she was coming at him, and she was holding her own for a while, but he could have taken her out if he really wanted to. And I don't know if she saw that or not, but yeah. And he took his mask off so she could see his face and read his lips. And I thought that was really interesting. But yeah, there's a lot going on. And then, of course, them realizing that Eleanor is connected to Kingpin, and, basically finding out that she's the one that hired Yelena to kill Clint. And Kate's face just says it all. So next episode is going to be very good, because she's going to realize that Mama's not who she thinks she is as well, and probably has never been. And I think it's going to mess up her entire world. And so, unlike the Kate we had in the comics, where the dad was just an a-hole, and of course she had an older sister that she could vent to, she doesn't have any of that in the MCU. She's an only child. Her dad was killed, and her mother is literally the center of her world, and her mother is a villain. And so, what is that? I don't know if she's going to be like, how can I be a hero when my mother's evil? Or there's so many different routes that Kate can take, but realizing that Mama is in bed with Kingpin, is gonna mess her up, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I've really loved these past 2 episodes. It just got me really thinking, because I know what happened in the comics. I'm wondering how many things are gonna play out, in the MCU, because they do their own thing. So how many things are they going to keep a little bit more canon, and how many things are they just going to go off the rails? Like, again, Jack and Clint not knowing each other. It's just so weird. So yeah, it's a thing. Let's see. I've been seeing some stuff in the comment section. Hello, Latino. It's been a minute. They're doing a much better job of writing Yelena than Natasha in the MCU. I agree with that. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not the big Scarlett Johansson fan. I don't care about her either way. I didn't care for her widow. I just didn't. And I mean, I'm not trying to be a purist. I don't care about any of that stuff. You can do your own thing. I don't know. I just kind of wish that they had somebody that could speak Russian or did a Russian accent, and didn't use the excuse of, not speaking it for so long that they just lost it. And it's just, I know that could happen, but I don't know. I just felt like Natasha was a character that, in every other avenue, for the most part, almost everything else you see her in, she has a Russian accent. And it's like, I don't know. I'm just in my feelings about it. So I didn't really care for her portrayal. I just really didn't. But Yelena, I mean, and I always said if I was going to watch the Black Widow movie, it would be to see Yelena. Yelena is very charismatic. There's just something about her that makes you instantly like her. And she's such a smart ass, and I love it. And you don't know how serious she is when she's talking. Like, is she about to shoot you, or is she literally just, messing with you? And I really love that. I love the actress they have, and I just love her a lot. And like I said, that's why it's so hard for me, because I love America Chavez so much, and I love her relationship with Kate, because they are BFFs, like diehard BFFs in the comics, to the point where they flirt with each other. And America even insinuates that Kate has a thing for her because she's like, "You're in the closet," and Kate 9 times out of 10 does not deny it. So I mean, I love the banter they have in the comics, and for that not to transfer on screen, it's just hard, because you made the actress for America 11 years younger. And so it's just weird. And I guess you just assign the America Chavez relationship part of the role to Yelena, which is not a bad thing, because again, her and Haley Steinfeld together are completely like, they're just hilarious to look at. There's like a lot of chemistry between them. As a queer person, I'm not trying to make them a thing. I'm not trying to make everybody gay. I'm just saying that there is definitely potential for that, because again, that's what they do in the comics between America and Kate. They make these like insinuating gay, kind of gay moments, or gay panic moments for Kate with America all the time. So it would be interesting if they do that with Kate Bishop, especially since Haley plays, Emily Dickinson, and she's a lesbian in that. So she'd be used to playing the role. So I don't know. I don't know what they're trying to do, but I do like their banter together. I think that they are funny. And at the end of the day, even if they're just really good BFFs, they would be the next Clint and Natasha, but probably closer. So I'm not hating it. It's just sad for somebody who knows about America and knows that the relationship between her and Kate was basically the relationship between what Yelena and Kate are now on screen. So I don't know. I'm in my feelings a little bit, just a little bit. They can use the same actor without it being the same continuity. Yeah, I'm thinking that. I'm just wondering if that's what's happening. And hello, Janet. I did see you. I love Florence and Haley's scene in episode 5. It was funny. Yelena's becoming one of my favorite characters in the MCU because of Florence. I agree with that. I love Florence. I think she's amazing as Yelena. She would be the only reason that you would get me to watch the Black Widow movie. I think the Black Widow movie is the only MCU movie I have not watched, because I had no desire to see it. I know that's horrible, but I just didn't. I didn't. I'm 100% behind the Kate and Yelena duo. Yeah, like I said, that's why I'm in my feelings about myself, because I'm like, I don't hate it. so I don't know, it's weird. So I love their dynamic. I can't wait to see more of them in the future. Yeah, they're definitely going to be Young Avengers together. You can see it. I also like the way they're using humor in the show. It doesn't clash with the drama like it does in other MCU. Whereas I agree. I love in the whole scene with Kate and Yelena. I love how calm Kate was, because she didn't know what this woman was doing. She literally could be here to kill her, and she's just like eating macaroni, like eating macaroni and cheese. And I love how she's like, "I made macaroni and it's so good," and she's like, "Yeah, I know how macaroni and cheese out of a box tastes." This is so funny to me. They're just funny. I'm not really crazy about the name Young Avengers. I prefer the team to have a more unique name. Yeah, I know. I know, it's just what they call them. I agree with you about Natasha Russian roots being an important part of her identity. It is. I mean, I just never understood. I never understood why they had Scarlett Johansson as her. And I know there are other actors that could have pulled that off. And not hating on the woman. Again, I don't care about Scarlett Johansson one way or the other. I'm just gonna be real with you. I just never cared. For me, when you look at Natasha, you would think Russian. I mean, somebody who is not, has not spent a lot of time just staying in America. This is a person that traveled all over the world, but she would not lose her Russian roots that easily. I don't know. My mother was in the States for 40 years. 40, no, because I'm 45 now and I was born overseas. So I think it was about 36 years. So my mother had a Scottish accent. It muted down a little bit, but she still had her Scottish accent to the day she died. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. It is weird. I wonder how Natasha's character would be if they went with the original actress, and if you do end up watching the Black Widow movie, Yelena makes the whole movie. Yeah, I looked at all of the cut scenes with Yelena, so I feel like I saw all the best parts that way while eliminating all the bull crap. It is free on Disney Plus. I guess if I'm just really bored one day, maybe I will watch it. And this is saying a lot because I'm trying to catch up on Young Justice. I've also been watching the sci-fi television version of Day of the Dead, which is effing hilarious. So I am trying to do a lot of catch up, but every time I see it, I just scroll on by. I just can't. I'm so not into the Black Widow. I can't help it. It's a thing, I guess. Let's see. Sorry about that. Florence does a good job performing Yelena as coming from a stained and traumatic past. Scarlett, as Natasha, always felt phoned in. Yep, but Florence's performance lets you see her inner pain better. Like in her eyes. Yeah, she has a way of emoting through her eyes. I love actors that can do that. I mentioned this before with other actors that are very good at showing you on your face the turmoil without actually verbalizing it. Yeah, Scarlett Johansson just made it seem like, oh yeah, my life sucked. Made a cookie. It's just like, okay. But yeah, like I think Yelena is very good at a range of emotions. So I think that's cool. Hey, when are you watching Spider-Man? I'm going to see it tomorrow. We're going to the drive-in because unlike other people in the world, or at least in my city, I believe COVID still exists, and I'm not sitting my happy butt in the theater just because they have IMAX. I can see, if I want a big screen, I will see it from my car at the drive-in. So we already bought our tickets. So 7 p.m. Central Standard Time is when I'm going to go see Spider-Man. And I'm excited. The whole second encounter with Yelena meeting Kate is definitely half I'm trying to get to know you, half interrogation. Yep. It was, I love when she was like, and because you're from here, I want to know, where should I go? She's like, what did she say? You can go to Union Square's Christmas holiday, like fair or party or block, whatever. And she said, but I don't know if they'll really accept bloodthirsty vigilantes or something like that. I'm like, just their banter cracks me the hell up. It really does. And I love when she's like, Kate was like, you were trying to kill me. And she's like, I was not trying to kill you. I hung you out to dry, basically on a line. I'm like, it's awesome. So awesome. Yelena looks so different compared to Black Widow. I mean, that's how she looks in the comic. She's blonde as hell. I play Marvel Puzzle Quest and she's got blonde hair in that. So I know we're going to get a lot of more. I think, well, at least as far as I'm concerned, we're going to get a lot more Yelena and Clint. Probably more than we will Maya and Clint, because if they're going for season 2, we probably won't have resolution on this whole Kingpin thing, until next season. So not a bad thing. It means that there's more work for Jeremy. He gets to come back as Hawkeye, because I don't know I don't know what's going to happen with his character after this. I mean, he could be in Secret Invasions because, quite frankly, he's not dead. I mean, yes, he's got a family, but I mean, has he considered himself to be retired? I don't know, but like, I guess for me, him being able to work a little bit is great. In terms of, you don't really see, I haven't seen him in a lot since Endgame, to be honest with you. So at least he's got a job, it's something to do. I'm interested to see who else they can incorporate into Hawkeye, because there are a lot of other characters out there that could be introduced or brought in. I don't know. I guess we got to see where it goes. But I have a feeling that the next episode is going to be more Yelena coming to terms with the fact that Clint really did love her sister, and that was his BFF. And quite frankly, kind of his soulmate. I mean, I really like his wife. I like how supportive his wife is. But let's be real. We always wonder why Hawkeye and Black Widow did not get together. Because she seemed to be getting together with everybody else. Like she flirted with Captain America, in Winter Soldier. She basically was all over Hulk, in the second Avenger movie. I mean, why didn't you get with Clint? That was your boy, your soulmate, whatever. Yeah, the person, I mean, to this day, he is still traumatized over the fact that she's dead and misses her every day. Literally went to a plaque where all the Avengers had their names engraved as in tribute, and was talking to her like he was still like she was still alive, saying, I missed you. So I'm really, I don't know. It's just something we all wonder. I really want a Hawkeye backstory. I want to know how him and Natasha met. We know how they met, but we want to see it. We want to see what made him not pull that trigger. What made him not shoot her? What made them become BFFs? I mean, was it just instant? I mean, was it love at first sight? What the hell was it? I mean, what was it? So, I mean, it would be interesting if they actually, had a little mini relationship. I don't know. It'd be cool if they had a relationship, but their jobs were just so dangerous they couldn't handle losing each other, so they decided they were better off as friends, because that always works. Always works. I don't know. It'd be interesting. The Kingpin storyline could most definitely continue in Echo TV series and the eventual Daredevil Disney Plus series. Yep, I think that's exactly what they plan on doing too, because she can't forgive him. She cannot forgive Clint at all, because he did still kill her dad. Even if he was ordered to, that is what happened. So I don't know. I think that's going to be a long, drawn out thing. I think the next episode is probably going to focus more on Yelena coming to terms with him not actually killing his sister, or her sister, should I say. If Marvel is smart, they will try to use Yelena and Black Widow to make smart spy dramas and take James Bond's place in the pop culture. That would be cool. Actually, I would love to have a Yelena Black Widow show. I think that'll be very cool. I love that Yelena, the only reason that they know about Eleanor is because Kate said, you're telling, you're saying that Clint is a bad guy. Maybe you need to try questioning the person that actually hired you to kill him. And so she follows the person, and she's like, oh, it's your mama. Like, I'll let you know, this is who hired me. Like, I love that. I absolutely love that. Didn't Nat sleep with Clint in the comics? Oh yes, Nat slept with everyone, babe. Like her and Tony made a porno. Like literally, there is an issue where they made a porno. And she's tried to sleep with Peter Parker. She slept with Daredevil. She was with, like, her one true soulmate in the comics was always Winter Soldier. They always came back to each other. So that was who she was in love with. So the fact that her and Bart have no connection whatsoever, it makes no sense. So, because her and Barnes was getting it on. But she did sleep with Hawkeye. As a matter of fact, Hawkeye tried to bring her into the Avengers in the comics, and she kept saying no. She was going to live her best life doing her own thing. And eventually she did come in. But she's been with a lot of people. A lot of people. Along with Matt Murdock. Yep, she's there was always a running joke that Natasha was the hoe of the Avengers. I mean, I hate to say it that way. Yes, Clint deserves his own solo movie. Yes, he does. I thought Valentina hired Yelena. Well, remember, they have clients. So the main client, because remember, she said, I found out who hired me. It doesn't matter if Valentina did. Valentina got orders from somebody else. But it's the mama. They've established that Eleanor did do it. So if Eleanor had hired her, then that means the Kingpin probably hired her. And it all goes back to Kingpin in the end. Let's be real. Kingpin is the OP. That's who it is. That's literally who it is. Yelena's delivered the most hard-hitting Yo Mama joke of all time to Kate. Yep. I was like, well, damn. And she did it in a text message, too. They're like, guess what? Guess what I'm looking at, girl? Yo Mama. Oh, by the way, she hired me to kill Clint. Discuss. I can see Yelena not fully forgetting Clint, but have a mutual understanding of the situation and still be friends with Kate. I don't think Kate can hurt Yelena, and I don't think Yelena can hurt Kate. I think they are going to be instant friends. Like, even if there's nothing romantic with these two, which would be to me would be a shame. But to be fair, let's be clear about this. As somebody who is a Kate Bishop fan in the comics, Kate is very promiscuous. She sleeps around a lot. She goes to clubs. She takes people home. She calls America up the next day. America gives her shit about it. Like sometimes she even ends up in people's beds and she doesn't even know who they are. She has daddy issues. So daddy did not give her enough attention, and mommy she thought was dead. So, it's a thing. And they revealed Kingpin along with Kate's mom being involved. Yep. Because mama is Madame Mask, so she's working already for Kingpin. Just like when Kate went to her and told her about Jack, and she got the feds involved, and he was like, "Oh, I'll be home before the Christmas party," The mother already knew what Jack was doing because she's probably working with him, and so they discussed it, and he decided to take the heat for it to get the heat off of the situation, so it wouldn't come back to Kingpin. That's what I think happened. Were you excited by the Kingpin reveal? I was kind of myself. Well, I mean, to be fair, we don't know if this is the Netflix version. We know it's the actor, but it could be the MCU version. So, I mean, I'm more confused about, again, I said this at the beginning of this, I'm more confused about how the MCU just takes really important relationships away, because Jack trained Hawkeye. I mean, he's Hawkeye. Clint is Hawkeye because of the swordsman. Jack is the swordsman. They have no connection in this. So now I want to know, since we've established that the person that actually trained Clint to be Hawkeye eventually in the comics is not anything in his life, who trained him? So now we need to have a backstory so we know who the hell trained him, because we don't have Trick Shot. We don't have Swordsman. I mean, they're not even implying that Clint was even part of a damn circus. So if that never happened, then who taught him to be an archer? Who taught him this? And he's also a very good swordsman because he was trained by Jack. So I'm just really curious. Now I want to know. I want to know what the MCU is saying is his backstory. Now, will they? I don't know, but they should. They really should. I want to see a Matt Murdock and Yelena romance. Well, so you're giving up on Pepper? Not Pepper. What did her name just go out of my head? Oh, her name just went out of my head. She reminds me of Pepper so much. What is her damn name? Remind me of Matt's girlfriend, part-time girlfriend, because she actually went with a lot of other people too. But what her name was, because I forgot her damn name. But you don't want him to be with her. I don't want Matt Murdock to be with Yelena. I don't know. I mean, I like Matt a lot, but am I weird to say I want him with Elektra? Oh, okay. That's what you're. Elektra. No, Elektra is who I want him to be with. But no, the one who is the reporter, who was their secretary, but who was actually the reporter for them at the law firm in Daredevil series. I cannot remember her damn name. Her actress was from True Blood. I cannot remember the name of the damn actress either. Don't quote me on this. I can't. I'm old, guys. In the comics, isn't Yelena Arrow or Ace? I think Ace, right? Hold up. I'm pretty sure. Hold up. I am pretty sure. Because there have been, in the comics, there are a lot of widows, but there have been 4 Black Widows in the comics. She was one of them, but I could have swore her other alias. In the comics. Oh no, it's been a minute, guys. It has been a minute. But I know that she's had a few aliases. But I thought that was one of them. Because I remember she was White Widow. I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm gonna figure that out. The ones I remember her being were either Red or Crimson Widow or White Widow, but I can't remember about Ace. But you could be right. That could be a true thing. Karen, thank you, Karen freaking Page. Thank you. Why couldn't I think of that damn name? It's so generic. Like, so you don't like Karen? you don't want with Karen? It's Karen. That was a big thing when Daredevil came up. Everybody was like, why won't he be nice to Karen? I think WandaVision was the best. Loki, Hawkeye, Winter Falcon and Winter Soldier. What is yours out of the series? So my favorite out of the series so far. Okay, so because I'm a Kate Bishop fan, I am loving the fact that we have Kate Bishop in live action form. I had to say that. WandaVision's my favorite because we have Monica Rambeau, but it also was pissing me off because they kept, hinting to Mephisto. I thought Blue Marvel was going to be the physicist that brought them, the tech to try and get into, Wanda's bubble, but nope. So they let me down with that shit. But at the same time, WandaVision was very entertaining because of the time jumps. And even though there were a lot of, Easter eggs, like we got one for AIM and we got, for a lot of other things, at the end of the day, even though they did not play out, we still got hope for one thing that I've always wanted. And that was for the Atlas Foundation to be established, because they established that Jimmy Woo is actually very competent and can fight and isn't just this guy that we saw at Ant-Man who just cracks jokes and was, wasn't really that inept or was pretty inept at his job. By him being established, Monica saying, I could see you being a leader, knowing that he is the head of the Atlas Foundation, made me extremely freaking happy. So WandaVision gives me hope for the Atlas Foundation. Therefore, WandaVision is my favorite right now out of all the MCU shows. Now, that may change when She-Hulk comes, because I am extremely excited for She-Hulk. So we'll see. But yeah, I think WandaVision's my favorite. Then I'm gonna say I actually liked, I kind of like Falcon and Winter Soldier a little better than Loki, only because Loki was in love with himself. But Loki is still up there. It's in my top 3, and then of course this one is probably ranking in at number 4. It's probably gonna be all over the place. I really, really would absolutely love for them to split some of the characters apart and actually do an Atlas. Now we're getting Wakanda Forever series. I would effing love for them to do an Atlas Foundation series, like when we get to introduce all of the Asian characters. The only reason I'm so pro on this is, I only have a little bit of Asian in me, but my spouse is Korean American. My daughter is half Asian. So I've always wanted my daughter to see that on the screen, because they don't. They're like, if you look at a lot of the Asian characters, something happens with POC characters in comics specifically, really in everything, but it's comic-based material. They either get character assassinated, like we see with Black characters, especially in the Arrowverse. I mean, it's notorious in the Arrowverse. Or if you're an Asian character, you just disappear. Like, you're just gone and we don't know where you go. It's like you're there and then you're not there anymore. I do not understand why that happens, but it happens all the effing time. And look at the Arrowverse and tell me how many Asian heroes are just around. Even poor Ryan Choi right now, you just saw in the latest damn crossover, was like completely character assassinated and he's invisible. And so I would love to have a series that focuses on them. I also would like to have more, Latina or Latino representation, within the MCU, because we don't really have that. It's really weird. And I guess if I was going to be one of those conspiracy theorists, I guess the biggest problem that I would have about Kate and Yelena, having Yelena basically giving her the relationship that she would have had America Chavez been aged correctly in the series, is that you basically replaced a Latina-based character, even though she's an alien. She was raised, in Brooklyn by a family who was Latina. I understand cultural appropriation. It is what it is. But somebody who represents a Latina-based, superhero, you replaced her and her role with Kate Bishop with a white woman. And I mean, I know people are probably going to see it that way when they figure out that banter and that relationship. People that follow Kate Bishop in the comics are probably going to say something about that. So, yeah. You got to see it from all sides, guys. You got to see it from all sides. But I really would love to have an Atlas Foundation. I would love to have a Blue Marvel series. Because what the hell is he? I mean, come on. He is cool as shit. I don't understand why we can't have Blue Marvel. And maybe they're going to have it, but they're waiting for, the latest. Well, I say that. That's probably not true, though. They probably won't have a Blue Marvel series. Because now I don't think we're going to have. I don't even think they cast him yet. Like, I don't even think he's been up for. Unless we're going to see him in Secret Invasion. I think we're going to get a lot of people in Secret Invasions because we have to see a lot of people in Secret Invasion. Because X-Men were involved in Secret Invasion. So were the Fantastic Four. So we have to, at some point, all of these people have to come together and figure out who's actually who in the Secret Invasion. Or it's not going to make any damn sense. So I don't know. I'm kind of worried. I'm worried about, I'm not as worried as I am with like the Arrowverse or DCEU, but I am definitely worried about where we're heading towards Secret Invasion. Because if you don't get that right, then there's going to be another Crisis on Infinite poop for me. And I'll be mad as hell. I'm like, you know what? Have this. I'm like, just done. But in a perfect world, we would get a Captain Marvel movie, our Captain Marvel 2 movie, where we have now Monica established as the new Captain Marvel, and then a Blue Marvel TV series that kind of spins off from that, since her and Blue Marvel were a thing. I think her and Blue Marvel might. I don't know if they're still a thing. I haven't been following them, but I know they were a really big couple. They were a power couple, I guess, a good way of saying that. I would like to see that. Now, I don't know if we will, but I would like to see it. Time for the power of Google. Yeah. Sometimes it lets you down. No, trust me. It's not that I dislike Karen as much as it would be out of character for Matt to only be with one woman at a time. Hell, let's be real. That's out of character for most comic book characters. I hate to say that. Maria, please do a tier list with MCU characters or the movies and TV series. I should do that. Like I said, I got so many things I need to do, guys. I'm so behind. I'm trying to get with Joe, though, from Joe's Geek Show, because we really want to do some comparison lists. Because I love our trash comics, but I also would love to do a who we think should be in MCU and why, or what their role should be. Because again, the MCU does its own thing. These stories are not canon, and it was so interesting when I hear people that are like, "I hate the DCEU because it's not canon." I'm like, but technically, neither is MCU, because they do their own shit too. They reinvent characters all the damn time. So it's the same, guys. It's the same. They're just better at outlining, and they're better at basically setting up things for an end game. Whereas DCU's like, let's just have a Man of Steel movie and a Shazam movie, not put Shazam in the Justice League, have a Wonder Woman movie, and then, an Aquaman. I think they even did this before the Aquaman movie came out. I have to check my facts on that. But then let's put all of these people in this one movie, including Cyborg and Flash, who have not even had establishing movies yet, and then expect people to understand what the hell's going on if they've never followed the comic or watched the cartoon. And so that is literally where they continue to F up. And then on top of that, they literally are doing their own Crisis on Infinite Earths, where they just keep releasing movies, and the ones that aren't in the main continuity, in the name continuity of your prime Justice League, they usually end up doing better because they're not in there. Like Joker was effing amazing, did great. I'm sure the Batman's going to be amazing. Also not canon to the original, Justice League or your prime Justice League. So like when you think about all these side stories that are not being implemented correctly into the main continuity, and yet your side stories are doing better than your main continuity, something needs to change. So it's just really weird. I want Blue Marvel in the MCU, but I am not holding my breath, and neither am I. I'm not either. I'm taking that much on Blue Marvel. I think it'll be great. I think if Monica Rambeau gets established as the new Captain Marvel in the second movie, or by the end of the second movie, and then she spins off into his TV series, I would have no problem with that. Will they do that? Probably not. But I would love it. Me too. Tatiana Maslany. Is that how you say it? I always butcher people's names. Maslany is a super talented actress. She was amazing in Orphan Black. Yeah. I need to finish Orphan Black. I'm so behind. Loki made self-cess canon. He really did. I was like, you were in love with yourself. Where is Kevin in Charmed? See what I mean? Where is Kevin in Charmed, Ryan? Where is Kevin in Charmed? Hell, where is anybody in Charmed at this point? Loki be like, I have everything, and everything is me in the bathroom mirror. I mean, it's really sad, but the one person you find love with is literally the female version of yourself. What? I think there's something wrong there. I really do. But back to Hawkeye. So I have high expectations, and I don't think I'm going to be. I'm probably going to be let down. I keep trying to speculate this damn Rolex. I'm like, did we ever see anybody wearing a watch in the past that was connected to Clint or anybody else in the Avengers that we overlooked or we missed? I don't think it's Tony. I don't think it's Nick Fury. I mean, I guess it could be Nick Fury, but I mean, I don't know whose Rolex this belongs to, or who the Rolex belongs to. Why is it so important to Clint that he gets this watch back? What's on it? I mean, we do know that, they already had all the information on Clint's family, which is messed up, which is a no-no. But I want to know, what is the story behind that damn watch? Why is this Rolex such a big deal? I mean, I hope we get clarification on this. I don't know if we will, but yes, you're right. I see that Phil Coulson does wear a Rolex, and then I guess it could be Phil's, but why would they have it? Like I said, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot going on, especially since Phil is an MCU character, but they're trying to say that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is no longer because of the World Shift or Earth Shift episodes. I don't know. I don't agree with that, but I guess I'm just like really in my feelings about the fact that we don't have enough backstory for Hawkeye to be able to guess the Easter eggs, because it's like they've never really established him. They just gave him a whole ass family that we learned about alongside the other Avengers. Like, oh, you have a wife and kids, cool. Then they got blimped out during the snap, and then he lost his mind and became Ronin, and then they came back, and then he felt bad and wasn't Ronin anymore. And it's like, okay, now what? And now he's just upset that Natasha is dead. But what is your story? Who are you, Clint? You're a weapon. You were made. He's like, I'm a weapon. I was made to be a weapon. Okay, by who? Because we don't know your story. So I really wish we got more. And I mean, not to say maybe season 2 will be all about Clint's backstory. I don't know. But what I do know is that it's hard for me to be invested in this damn watch when I don't know who Clint is. So this has to be somebody that we know or is important to us, or it's not going to make sense for me. It's just not. So I really hope they explain the watch. I'm dying to know his connection to Kingpin. I need to understand how he knows him, other than maybe he just knows him as Ronin, which would make sense, I guess. But I really want to know what his connection to Kingpin is, because Kingpin does not seem like the type of person Clint would just generally hang out with. So I want to know what that connection is. I'm going to say it to the cows come home. How the hell did you meet your wife? And how did you tell her what you did? And why is she so damn accepting? I mean, you have 3 children, and she's like, I trust your judgment, babe. Do what you got to do. You got to kill some folks. We here. I'm like, damn. Look, we come from the Arrowverse Flash, where they're like, we don't kill people. If you kill people, then the family is over. What? This person killed people in your family and has made your life shit? I don't care. We don't kill. And then you got Clint's wife. Oh yeah, babe. Take out whoever you need to take out. I'm here for you. Let me know if you need me to aid you in any way. I trust your judgment on who you kill, and I'll see you for Christmas. Like, how did he meet a woman like that? I'm like, I need to know their story. I need to know it. And I need to know her, because she was very close with Natasha. Natasha knew her and knew his family. And she was Aunt Natasha. So I really need to know and understand how all of that played out. That is what I think I would love to have. If this series had been all about that, I would not have hated it. And introduced Kate next season, I would have been fine. Or even had Kate in this and have her as a little sidekick that was trying to learn. And then we learned more about Clint as he was training her before all the other shit came into play. I'd be fine with that. I wish we had gotten more backstory for Clint. As a matter of fact, it's not really fair to this character. Honestly, it's not. He does not need to be that much of a mystery. So, yeah, I really hope that we at least, and then we have one episode left, but at least get something because it's driving me crazy. Like, it's driving me crazy. Hi, Dee Marie, I see you. Okay. Sorry, trying to move down. Can we look forward to you reviewing Young Justice season 4 in the near future? Yes, I am on Young Justice season 3. So I am catching up, guys. I'm already heartbroken. I'm heartbroken because something happened to one of my characters and it broke my heart. So you already know what it was, but I want to say it in case nobody else has watched it in here. Phil Coulson wears Rolex. Yes, I think we ever established that. Yeah, the latest eps, Young Justice is very well. Well, I'm looking forward to the latest season because I am a huge, my favorite DC character is Lady Shiva. So her and Orphan being in the same show. Yes. Yes. I think it's funny that Kate in the episode Partner, episode 4, the way Clint was like, we're not partners, go home. Her face would be my face if Lady Shiva had told me you were shit. Like, what she would do, because that's her character. But it'd be like, oh, it wounded my heart. She had this look on her face like, wow. Like she was back in the day and she was trying to get into a New Kids on the Block concert and they were like, no, you shall not pass. I'm thinking, and almost positive Rolex belonged to Nick Fury. It wasn't Captain Marvel. That's what I was thinking because it's Nick's. But why would they have it? Very curious. But hello, Dee Marie. How are you? Has anyone seen the conspiracy that Talos portrayed Nick from Winter Soldier and beyond? So maybe the Rolex really is Nick's. It could be. Like I said, it's just why would they have it? How? But to be fair, okay, first of all, why would Nick part with that? Because I know they got a lot of stuff from the Avengers compound, but why would they have his Rolex? That's an interesting question. If it's the case that Laura Barton was a fake identity made by another Marvel character to escape their past, which character would you like it to be? I would like it to be Jessica Drew. Ooh, yeah, that's a good one. I don't know. She's too old to be. Wouldn't she be too old to be Jessica Drew? I think. Who would I want her to be? Oh, this is so hard because there's so many people. Like I have like. Could she be okay? First of all, could she be a mutant? Because I'm convinced. I don't know if you guys are convinced of this. I know that Kate's Aunt Mora is like a little side character, like Felicity was in Batman in the comics. But they're building her up to be like this really, I guess she's an actress that just does all of this stuff or whatever. But in my mind, I'm like, what if she's really Moira McTaggart? I'm like, her aunt's Moira McTaggart. Don't tell me she can't be, because the MCU again makes connections that have no connections and takes connections away, like Jack and Clint, and just completely gets rid of them. So her being Moira McTaggart could be a thing, and then it would be interesting if who would I want her to be? Oh, there's so many people. I think I would be okay because she doesn't have to be blonde. I would be okay if Laura Barton was Mockingbird because he was married to her in the comics. So I would be completely okay if she was actually Mockingbird and maybe she dyed her hair black. That would be badass if Laura Barton was actually Mockingbird. I'd describe that. And this continuity, they didn't get divorced. They just had kids. So yeah, that's my answer. I think if Laura Barton was a fake identity, that she's actually really Mockingbird. And I would be okay with that. because that would explain why she knows a lot, because Mockingbird is very good. It would explain why she knows who to contact, how to run, I mean, we don't know if she can fight, but we don't know if she can't fight. But I mean, if her real name was Barbara Morse, I mean, I'd be cool with that. I mean, yeah. So yeah, that's my answer, Mockingbird. And it would make sense again because Clint was married to her in the comics at one point. So, okay. What's so special about Fury's Rolex as opposed to any Rolex? He can use it to call Captain Marvel. I believe it had there was something else about it that he had modified. Wasn't there a chip in it as well that held like all the information on everybody in the Avengers Initiative? I may be thinking of something else though, but I thought that was true. But either way, I don't know how they would have gotten Nick's. I mean, how would they have gotten his Rolex? I don't think that's something he would have left in the Avengers compound. So I don't know how they would have gotten it. So that's weird. And considering he's off-world, that's even weirder. I don't know. If Clint isn't too old to be Hawkeye, then Laura Barton isn't too old to be Spider-Woman. Well, it depends on what continuity, because in some continuity, Spider-Woman is like in college, like college years, or should I say. It just really depends. I believe Laura Barton is Mockingbird. I thought this from the beginning of Hawkeye. I would love that. I would absolutely love for her to be Mockingbird. I think that would be, if they came out and said, "Oh, she was Mockingbird, and this is why this is how we met," blah blah blah. It would make so much sense to me, and I think the internet would blow up because that would be something that some people probably didn't think about. But yeah, considering his backstory, and he was once married to her in the comics, I would completely accept that as an answer. And then this is basically a what if Mockingbird and Clint had a family scenario. And it's almost, you could look at it as a completely separate run. It already is a different Earth, because the MCU is a different Earth. So I'd be completely okay with that. Madam Mask, I'm still hoping it's Eleanor Bishop. Of course it is. Like 100 trillion%. There's no other person that would be. I think it's just confusing a lot of like comic fans because she was supposed to be dead. Like, Mama's not supposed to be alive. Daddy is. So it's interesting. I'm thinking about the spy woman that has a very experienced and seasoned spy with a past in Hydra. Oh. I mean, yeah, like I said, if they're trying to play this more into Spider-Verse, because I mean, this is the thing about what's happening in the MCU. Yes, they're all connected. But WandaVision and Loki are going to have a bigger impact and have more references towards Doctor Strange 2 than Hawkeye ever will. So I think if we're going for just badass, Mockingbird would be very cool. And I don't know. I just feel like because she's already had that role as his wife in the comics, then Laura Barton being Mockingbird it makes sense. And then her and Natasha getting along so well because they basically have almost the same training and skill sets, I think would make sense. Yeah. And I don't know. I don't know. I think I think Mockingbird is a really good choice for Laura. That's if she has another identity. I mean, she could just be a character that was created for this series or for the MCU. Doesn't the Kingpin have ties to Munch Report? Yes. Kingpin has ties to everything. Everything. There's not. Well, I don't know about Wakanda. No, I think there is something he did. He did have a connection to something in Wakanda. I gotta think now, because so many villains do have connections to Wakanda. Even Fu Manchu literally had a baby with an African woman just to try and infiltrate Wakanda. So I mean, yeah. At the end of Captain Marvel. Okay, at the end of Captain Marvel, what? Trying to see if I missed any other questions. Sorry, because I was scrolling really quickly. My sinuses are killing me, guys. I'm sorry. I wonder if we're gonna get Elektra. Now we were talking about that earlier. If we have Daredevil, are we going to have Elektra? I am very curious, and I wonder if we're going to see Daredevil, not just Matt in his lawyer form, should I say? He does have ties to everything. That's why they call him the Kingpin of Crime. I think he's even messed around with the power broker at some point. I'd have to go back and look because again, MCU has recreated that whole thing too. So it's a power broker is not who the power broker is in the comics. So actually, I don't think we ever really knew who the power broker was in the comics. So that's a thing. But yeah, like I said, I like that the MCU has taken on this mission of reinventing these characters and making these things fresh. The only problem that I have with the MCU as a whole, besides the fact that we are in desperate need of LGBTQ plus representation, because this is it's borderline stupid at this point. I really hate that. I guess hate's a strong word, but I have a lot of problems with the MCU and with their, how do I say this? You know how we have queer baiting? We have Mephisto baiting. I feel like Mephisto is put across so many damn shows, so many shows, and yet he's still not a concept. He's not a thing. You talk about a Nexus being the damn Nexus bridge, and you don't talk about effing Mephisto. You do WandaVision without Mephisto. You know, literally you're doing House of M, but you're taking the key players out. There's no Frederick, there's no Mephisto, but you tease them. If you don't want us to be in our feelings about it, if you don't want us to be excited and speculate about it, then don't put Easter eggs in where you're Mephisto baiting. Stop Mephisto baiting your fans. It doesn't look good on you. So again, it's like when you take a test and you know the answer and then they make up an answer and it's completely off the rocker and it's not even applicable to the question. And you're like, why did you mark that answer wrong? That's totally right. I mean, I have proof. I have the book. That's how I feel about Mephisto. Why are you doing this? You literally showed us Mephisto, like little images of Mephisto. And Loki and the damn church, you know, the church window had like a silhouette of Mephisto. I'm like, why are you doing this, MCU? So yeah, stop Mephisto baiting. I need to make shirts. Hashtag stop the Mephisto baiting. Just, yeah, so many things I need to do. But overall, I mean, it's still entertaining as hell. We're still going to watch the MCU content. So I guess they're doing something right at the end of the day, right? But I just had to put that up there. That one thing I can accept most things the MCU does. I'm tired of the Mephisto baiting. I'm so sick of it. I'm tired. Yes, the MCU is pandering to all the oversensitive church boys by not including Mephisto. I kind of feel like that's what's happening. Because again, no matter how you look at it, Mephisto is Satan. He is Lucifer. But it's the story. And if they don't like it, don't effing watch it. I mean, goodbye. Because I also feel like that's why we haven't gotten a lot of LGBTQ plus stuff too, because of that. Especially now that Disney has it, that they don't like to put that content in the shows. And I'm like, but some of these characters actually were queer, so that's problematic as hell. Like if they do not make America Chavez gay or lesbian, because she's straight up lesbian with 2 lesbian moms, I think that Disney's going to have some issues. And I don't think they're going to like it, because I know with so many characters that are not queer, West Coast Avengers, at least a new West Coast Avenger, Kate Bishop's West Coast Avengers, literally almost the entire team, give or take 1 or 2, were queer, you know, or bi. They're bi or queer still bi. But like we had bi, and then we had a couple that were, you know, gay. We had a lesbian female. We have Kate Bishop, who I still think is bisexual. She's bi-curious at the very least for America Chavez. So there's so much queerness in the West Coast Avengers that if you put any of these characters into play, like, and you don't follow through with that, I really feel like you might get canceled, especially in this this climate, the political climate today. You will probably get canceled, because there's no way people are going to not see that you're basically killing your gay tropes. That's what you're doing. You're killing them. So I have a lot of problems with that. I really do. This is where DC has upper hand on Marvel representation, the LGBTQIA plus community. You're absolutely right. Because MCU has not introduced one damn character that has been queer since the inception of the MCU. They have skirted it. We knew that there was Valkyrie, that should have been. Like they don't. I know they're never gonna have Angela. There's no way to do Angela because Angela is a trillion% lesbian. So they're gonna continue to not introduce characters that are fully gay because they won't. They'll have a bisexual character and then they'll probably have them just be in a heterosexual relationship and not mention the other half. But they will not have somebody who is straight. But America Chavez is. And that may be why they made her 13. Like, that's kind of what I'm feeling is happening. Because, again, anybody who's a Kate Bishop fan knows that Kate and America, they talk to each other. I could literally link you to stills from comics where they talk to each other in ways that you don't talk to friends. So I really feel like that's what's going on. And that's why we have Yelena and Kate. And I don't think that they're going to be a sexual relationship. I think they're going to be the new Clint and the new Natasha. And so I don't know. It is something that I thought about when I was watching. I'm like, wow, please tell me that's not their answer to getting rid of the gay trope with America. Because that's why I'm in my feelings about it. And that's how I'm seeing it. I don't know if that's what's happening. It's just how I'm seeing it right now. Because I do like Yelena and Kate's friendship. But again, if you're making this coupling basically at the expense of Kate and America, then that is extremely effed up. So, and the reason is only because America is lesbian and they flirt with each other. And that's how I feel about that. I felt like the sister sounded like Helena from Orphan Black. Fair. If including Mephisto does offend the church boys, then Marvel can use that for publicity. That's true. When Martin Scorsese put out The Last Temptation of Christ, church groups protested it, but the protest backfired and helped the film. Well, that's always going to be the case. Everybody wants to see what everybody doesn't like. But look, I have learned a long time ago when people made a movie like Human Centipede, a sensation. I was like, I am done. Like, people will like anything. Make anything possible. I cannot to this day. I would sit at work because they would have a movie just like they have movie trailers just like going on rotation at my old job. And I just like listen to this. And I think this was along the when that first one came out, the Human Centipede movie came out. And I was just like, why in the hell? Why would anybody make a movie like this? This is effing disgusting. Like, what is wrong? What kind of mind do you have? Oh, it was horrible. It was horrible. So yeah, but when that one went when it became a cult classic, I was like, oh, okay, I see what's happening now. There's also a movie I think called Rubber. I think that's a title. Don't quote me. It used to be on Netflix about a tire that was telekinetic and was killing people. A tire, and it fell in love with a girl. I can't make this up. And so many people love this movie, and I was like, okay. Like, I watch B-rated movies all the time, but guys, come on. I'm just saying. They may have taken the Sailor Moon approach to certain characters since it's Disney. If they make people cousins that are, well, first of all, with the Sailor Moon situation, I believe it was Cloverway, when they made Uranus and Neptune cousins, where they messed up even more, besides being homophobic, was that they made them incestual because they didn't change any of the dialogue. So, like, I don't know about you, but I never grabbed my cousin's hands and tell my cousin how beautiful those hands were and how I would die if anything happened to you. And don't worry, I'm always going to be by your side forever and ever. No, that is not what you do with your cousin. They didn't airbrush the scenes where their faces were almost kissing. They didn't airbrush or they didn't rewrite the scene with the dating game. I mean, none of that stuff was right. So not only did they show their homophobia, they also showed that they were pro incest. So whatever. Do you? I heard about Rubber. That's going to be terrible to watch. I tried watching it. I laughed too damn hard. But yeah, it's a mess. All right, so we are a little bit over an hour, guys. So we are going to cut this short. I got to look at one more comment because I saw the title Rubber. How do you think the tire from Rubber is the real one pulling the strings of Thanos and keep in? I mean, why not? That tire, there's something wrong with that tire. Like that tire never deflated. It was able to roll, and if it fell on its side, it could get itself back up. That stuff is completely weird. Completely. But yeah, I digress. So, but to be very transparent, I know we're still talking about LGBTQ. I saw your Janet talking about Eternals and LGBTQ. I I don't even consider Eternals to be the first movie to have LGBTQ plus because yes, it's in the same continuity, I guess, but they're not Avengers. So I guess I keep thinking of within the Avengers storyline, we still don't have it. Yeah, we do have one character that's married to a man and has a son, and I'm completely cool with that. But I wish that they had incorporated that more into they should have been doing that from the jump. They should have been doing that with the last Thor movie. Um, Wakanda literally has two lesbians that serve T'Challa. And actually, their romance leads to a revolt against T'Challa in the comics. So, but they never talk about it. And we don't, it's a thing. So Wakanda, we didn't see our lesbian girls. It's just something that happens. And I really wished it would effing stop because, again, I guess my overall takeaway is as much as I love Yelena and Kate and want them to be the new Clint and the new Natasha, I don't want them to have a relationship at the expense of Kate and America because they're trying to get away from, America being a lesbian. That will piss me off. It really will. If Doctor Strange too, like I know she's young, so they don't have a reason to talk about her sexuality because she's a kid. But she's 13 and we have seen little crushes and stuff happen in shows. So if she has a crush on somebody and ends up being a boy, I'll be like, this is what they did. It's what they did. They erased her sexuality. So I'm gonna be mad as hell. Yeah, it's a thing. It is a thing. All right, guys, we're over an hour and 16 minutes. If I did not answer your questions, I see Ray just came in here. I'm sorry. I have a voice audition I have to get ready for in about 20 minutes. So I'm going to have to cut this short. But again, please leave it your statements, questions, confusions, whatever in the comments below so we can carry it on. If I don't get to answer it, somebody will, trust me. It will be answered. And if it is a day for you guys, have a very good day. If it is evening for you, have a very good evening. And I will see you on Saturday for my Spider-Man review, since I'm seeing it tomorrow, and for our Yashahime review. So be on the lookout for those two streams that will be set up because we will be talking about them. All right, guys, I will talk to you later.